I want you to imagine you're sitting comfortably on your couch 5 years from now. Your thermostat is likely set to the perfect temperature by an AI that has calculated what is most comfortable for you. You think back on your day, your dinner was delivered by a driver, ordered by an AI that predicted what you were craving. You just responded to an email, but you didn't actually type it. You pressed one button, and a large language model generated 3 paragraphs of polite corporate prose. Everything was perfect for you. Everything was frictionless. Everything was convenient. But then, a notification captures your attention. Not about a war or a plague or a disaster. It's a report on the latest breakthrough in artificial general intelligence. A system that can now paint better than Van Gogh, write better than Hemingway, and code better than a senior engineer. So what does this remind me of? Well, in 1925, the poet T.S. Eliot looked at the spiritual condition of humanity and saw a terrifying future. He didn't think it would be a robot uprising, and he didn't predict a Holocaust. He predicted a slow, quiet suffocation of the human soul. He warned us of a time when we would become the hollow men, stuffed with information, but empty of substance. Let's be honest for a second. We are watching the slow demise of human agency. We are trading our purpose for convenience, piece by piece. And the terrifying part is not that machines are taking over by force. It's that we're handing them the keys simply because we want to make our lives easier. I'm Dr. Jonathan Strecker, author of Emergence: How Modern Convenience is Dumbing Down Our Children and What Parents and Schools Can Do About It. If you followed my work on Our Quiet Extinction or The War on Intelligence, you know that I usually focus on how systems fail our children. However, today we need to discuss a system that is failing all of us. We're going to explore the psychological and existential crisis of the AI convenience. There's a concept in behavioral psychology known as the law of least effort. It states if there are several ways to achieve the same goal, the brain will naturally gravitate towards the one that requires the least amount of energy. It's a survival mechanism. In the wild, conserving calories meant surviving the winter. Our ancestors would hunt buffalo as a team and then rest to conserve their energy. But we don't live in the wild anymore. We live in a digital ecosystem designed to exploit this mechanism. Tech companies are not selling you software. They're selling you the removal of friction. They are selling you the easy button. Intellectually, we have ChatGPT lowering our IQ. Socially, we have Facebook, Instagram, and Tinder lowering our need to socialize. Emotionally, the algorithm ensures that you only see news that caters to your own beliefs, so we are less resilient. Ethically, technology has made it easier than ever to manipulate us, so trust is in decline. Physically, we administer injections to lower our weight. It simultaneously makes us thinner and physically weaker. In The Hollow Man, Eliot wrote, "We are the hollow men. We are the stuffed men, leaning together, headpiece filled with straw. Alas." Today, that straw is convenience. It is the infinite scroll. It is the AI-generated summary of the book you didn't read. It is the illusion of competence. What I want to talk to you about today is what happens to the human psyche when you remove the struggle from that existence. Let's talk about 3 specific psychological phenomena that are emerging from this age of extreme convenience. Cognitive offloading, or why your brain is turning to mush, learned passivity, the death of willpower, and the existential vacuum, the loss of meaning. The truth is, we're standing at a crossroads. On one hand, we have the promise of a utopia in which we never have to work again, a land of labor-free bliss where all our needs are met by machines. We sit all day watching streaming services, doom scrolling online, eating to our heart's content, and sending emojis to each other as a point of connection. However, we face the risk of becoming permanent infants, cared for by machines, unable to do anything for ourselves. We become the ultimate consumers, but forfeit our creative side. On the other hand, we take a different path and reject certain conveniences, the conveniences that make our minds, bodies, and spirits weaker. We rage against the dying of our spirit as we remain committed to the struggle that makes us truly human. So where does this leave us? Let's look at the first symptom. Section 1, the headpiece filled with straw. Eliot described the hollow man as shape without form, shade without color. In the context of AI, this is the perfect description of cognitive offloading. This is a term psychologists use to describe the act of using physical action like writing something down or external tools to reduce the cognitive demand of a task. Historically, this was pretty good. Writing a grocery list offloads memory so you don't have to hold both eggs and milk in your head at the same time. But with AI, we have moved from offloading a few items in memory to offloading thinking itself. Let's look at some research. When you struggle to learn a new concept, like say learning a new language or writing a complex report, your brain is building a new neural pathway. This process is known as encoding, and it requires friction. It requires focus. And yes, it requires a healthy dose of frustration. That emotion, combined with learning a new skill, helps to encode that information in your brain. Essentially, that frustration is your brain restructuring itself. It is the form being created. But when you use AI to write that email, summarize that meeting, or code that website for you, you are bypassing the encoding process. You get the result, the shape, but you don't get the neural architecture, the form. Think about it. We see this in schools right now. Students who use AI to write their papers, they get the A. They have the shape of a smart student. But ask them to explain the concept without the screen, and they are empty. They are stuffed with the output. But the neural network of critical thinking hasn't been built at all. This creates what the cognitive scientists call the illusion of explanatory depth. You feel like you understand how the world works because you can access the answer instantly. But there is a massive difference between accessing information and possessing wisdom. I'm sad to say, if we continue down this path, we risk a major atrophy of human capability. We are outsourcing our executive function. We are outsourcing our creativity. We are outsourcing our judgment. And here is the danger. It's not that you just won't become smarter. The truth is, in the brain, if you don't use it, you lose it. Our brains are efficient. If you stop doing math, that part of your brain that possesses numbers weakens. If you stop navigating because the GPS does it for you, the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for spatial memory, actually physically shrinks. So ask yourself, when AI does the thinking, the writing, the creating, what part of you is left? In section 2, and perhaps the most disturbing line in Eliot's poem, paralyzed force, gesture without motion. Psychologists have a term for this state. It's called learned helplessness. It was coined by Martin Seligman in the 1960s. He found that when people or animals feel they have no control over their environment, they eventually stop trying, even when an opportunity to escape or improve their situation is presented. They become totally passive. But today we're seeing a mutation of this concept. It's called learned passivity. Learned helplessness comes from trauma or failure. Learned passivity comes from convenience. We are training our brains to believe that effort is unnecessary. In fact, we now see effort as the problem to solve, not the problem itself. In the past, the dopamine reward system was tied to the effort. You hunted to get food. You built a shelter to get warmth. You practiced the piano for years and you got the ability to play beautiful music. AI convenience hacks this loop. It uncouples the reward from the effort. You want a beautiful image? Midjourney gives you that result in seconds. You want a dissertation? ChatGPT writes it. You want entertainment? The algorithm feeds it to you before you even ask. The result is a generation that has the force, the potential, the raw talent, but is completely paralyzed. Why learn to paint when a machine does it better? Why learn to write if the machine does it faster? You get the result you desire without any effort at all. This is truly gesture without motion. We have the tools of the gods, but we lack the will of humanity. The danger here is profound. Self-efficacy, the belief that your own ability to succeed, is built on a foundation of mastering experiences. So essentially, you try, you fail, you try again, you overcome. That process builds a resilient self. When AI removes the possibility of failure, it also removes the possibility of true success. You can't feel pride in a result you didn't earn. You might feel relief, you might feel satisfied, but you won't feel competent. And a society of people who do not feel competent is a society of people who are easily controlled. They are the hollow men, waiting for the algorithm to tell them what to do next. This leads us to the core of my work and the deepest philosophical issue we face. Viktor Frankl, a psychologist and Holocaust survivor who wrote about the existential vacuum, he argued that the primary drive of human beings is not pleasure, as Freud thought, or power, as Elder thought, but meaning. Frankl observed that when people lack meaning, they fall into a state of inner emptiness. They try to fill this void with pleasure, with distraction, or in our case, with convenience. In 1925, the shadow was a source of despair for many. In 2026, the shadow is where purpose lives. Think about the shadow as the gap between what you want and what you have. It is the friction. It is the struggle. We are being sold a lie that the shadow is bad. We are told to eliminate the shadow. We should have instant gratification without effort. But here's the truth. The shadow is where you become human. Purpose is not found in the destination. It is found in the journey. If you teleport to the top of Mount Everest, you haven't climbed the mountain. You have the view, but you don't have the transformation. When AI removes the friction from our lives, it removes the resistance required for the soul to grow. Just as a muscle needs the physical resistance to grow, the human spirit needs the existential resistance. We need problems to solve. We need obstacles to overcome. If AI solves all of our problems, if it drives our cars, writes our books, and makes our art, what's left for us? This is the crisis of the stuffed men. We are stuffed with comfort, but we are starving for purpose. We are bored, and boredom, when combined with a lack of agency, leads to nihilism. It leads to the feeling that nothing matters because nothing requires you to be better. If an AI can replace you at work, and an AI can replace you in creativity, the question is inevitable. Why are we here? This is not a question technology can answer. In fact, technology is the thing that's forcing us to ask it. So let's move on to section 4, reclaiming the fire. So is this it? Are we doomed to be the hollow men, leaning together, headpieces filled with straw? No. But we have to make a choice, and we have to make it now. We must shift from an external locus of control, where we believe the algorithm decides our fate, to an internal locus of control. We must reclaim our agency in 3 steps. First, you must practice voluntary friction. You have to intentionally choose the hard way. Not for everything, but for the things that matter. Don't use AI to write your wedding vows. Don't use AI to write a condolence letter. Don't use GPS to walk to the local store. Engage with the world directly. Force your brain to do the work. This is how to keep the mental muscle alive. Second, we have to prioritize production over consumption. The hollow men are ultimate consumers. To be human is to be a creator. And I don't mean typing a prompt into a generator. I mean holding a pen. I mean getting your hands dirty. I mean building something that exists in the physical world. When you create, you're asserting your existence. You are saying, I am here and I can change reality. And number 3, embrace the shadow. Stop trying to eliminate every moment of boredom or frustration from your life or your children's lives. When your child is struggling with math, it's not a crisis. That is the foundry where the character is forged. When you're staring at a blank page and feel stuck, that's not failure. That is the friction that sparks the fire of true creativity. T.S. Eliot ended his poem with the most famous line in modern literature. This is the way the world ends, not with a bang, but a whimper. For decades, we thought the bang would be the bomb, but the whimper is much more dangerous. The whimper is the sound of resignation. It is the sound of a species that slowly, comfortably, and conveniently handed over its agencies to the machines. But it doesn't have to be the end. The poem is a warning, not a prophecy. We are not hollow yet. We still have the capacity to struggle, to feel, and to create. But we must remain vigilant. We must choose the different path of being human over the easy path of being a user. The choice is ours. So what do we do next? Well, if you want to join a community of people who are refusing to go hollow and rage against the dying of the light, please hit that like button and subscribe. It helps us reach more people. I'm Dr. Jonathan Strecker. Stay strong.